Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Documentary Club. This is Jeff Jones, and with me today, I have a panel of contributors. And let's start by introducing them one at a time. And we'll start with Katie on top there. Hey, Katie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good to be here.
You ready to talk about Scott Peterson and Laci Peterson?
I am. I have 4 pages worth of chicken scratch unorganized notes. It's
Well,
going to
here's
be
the
great.
place to unload your chicken scratch. Here's the perfect place. And that goes for everybody else out there as well. People in the chat would love to hear your opinions. And maybe later in the show, I'll drop a live link if somebody new wants to join. But that leads us to our next panelist, and that's Susan. Hey, Susan, how you doing?
Hey, Jeff, I'm doing good. You know, it's just unbelievable that this is 21 years later.
It boggles the mind. I couldn't
It
believe it when
does.
I saw it. I was like, it'll be 22 years this December. Jeez.
Crazy. Just crazy.
I mean,
But
if you
yeah,
had told me it was
there's
like 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, that seems about right.
yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of to talk about.
A
This
lot to talk
this
about.
guy. Yes, there is.
Do you have 4 to 5 pages of notes too?
In my head. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I keep most of it in there, and like 100 different open tabs on my web browser.
Right. That I have too.
Uh, and last but not least, Jack, how are you doing, bud?
Hey, everybody, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, well, you got my notes, my chicken scratch,
I do.
and
I do have
I,
your notes.
and I do have, the new documentary that we've watched, and definitely some interesting takeaways from that too.
From the Peacock documentary, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. There were a couple key things that I found. One of them being that they said he bought the fishing license early, and it was a 2-day fishing license, and it was a little unclear which 2 days, but in the Peacock documentary they lay it out. It was from the 23rd to the 25th, right in that window of when he went fishing. So it was premeditated. He knew he was going to go fishing those 2 days. So
He
I don't know
also
how you
told
guys feel about that, but that seems
he
like a
also
lie to me.
told yeah, he also told Amber on December 9th that he lost his wife.
There are
yeah,
different types of loss, Susan.
yeah. Come on, come on,
Yeah,
Amber.
Susan.
Well, I mean,
Come on,
gosh,
Amber.
I mean, you can lose something, and then
Oh
you
my
can
God.
lose something over here, but it's not really lost. You've just kind of misplaced it. Come on,
Well,
man.
Yeah.
like I said in the premiere, I was like, I wish she would have drilled down on that a little bit more. What do you mean by loss? You guys broke up? She's
Right.
emotionally detached?
Right.
Are you guys still living together? What does that mean, lost?
That would have
Well,
been
We
nice.
know the context. Like if you listen to him, oh, I lost my wife.
And you know,
or
she may have. Um,
Later,
yeah.
after she was aware that Lacey was missing, it's like on
No.
the 9th, he was just telling her because one of the friends, what was it? One of the friends that set him up with her, or a friend of the person who set him up with her, who thought he was single, made comment to some other friend who informed them, hey, he's married, he said he wasn't married. Well, so they tell him, you better tell her, because if you don't, I will.
that's
So
right.
he
Wow.
tells her
And
that story.
then I think she said I didn't want to cry or something like that. I
Yeah,
didn't
she
want to.
said she could have died in a car wreck or
Yeah. She just
something, and
left
he
it with
was
that.
so upset. I knew that he would tell me on
That's
his
right.
time,
Yeah.
or when the time was right or whatever. She just
But
felt
it,
sorry for him.
but in her mind, she's dead. She's gone.
Right,
It wasn't like misplacing your car keys. I
right.
lost them. Yeah, I lost my billfold. No, this is the different Scott. We're not talking about that kind of loss, man. Come on.
Yeah. Because car accident went to her mind. Like
I'm sure. Yeah.
she died in
Right.
some way. Yeah.
Anyway, you know that There are other aspects of the Peacock presentation of Scott Peterson that I took away with scratching my head. But we can talk about that later. I just wanted to get that out there because it did raise some questions in my mind. And again, I think, well, I'm not sure I know I said it in the mirror. You always want the police to drive for the truth. I don't want to see stuff buried. Just put it out there, man. People are smart. They'll drill down on it. Put it out there. Don't try to hide it. And they did. There's some things that these lawyers asked for that they didn't get that existed. And if there's DNA, freaking test it. Just test it.
All of
I
it.
couldn't agree
All
more.
of it. Test everything.
I couldn't agree
they
more.
want tested. Yeah.
Because if it results in not Laci's DNA, not Scott's DNA, not Connor's DNA,
You're done.
Then it's over. Then it's finality for the case.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then
Either
you've
way,
exhausted
you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, to Becca's question here,
Yeah.
you know, because the Innocence Project, I mean, they take cases that are DNA related.
Yep.
Right.
There's DNA that needs to be tested, and he was convicted on basically circumstantial evidence. So whether
A
they
lot of it. But
yeah, so maybe just the nature of the Innocence Project is that because of those variables, they did take on the case because they know that the DNA testing will give
A result.
a result.
Some finality too.
Yeah, and then you know that's the kind of finality. The state always tries to make finality happen as soon as possible, and that's such a negative thing. But you know, if
It's so funny that
coming from Innocence Project, it's different. You know.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a really good question. And the question, I'll just read it. How does everyone feel about the Innocence Project taking on Scott's case? And I think I'm with you there on that one. Do they have to feel like he's innocent to take on the case, or do they feel like this is something that we specialize in? Like you're saying, this is something that I don't know. I guess when the Innocence, and there are many branches of the Innocence Project, and I think that's important to mention too. This is the
Right.
California one. They're kind of under the same umbrella, but they're compartmentalized. They're all kind of decentralized, I guess. And I don't know, did they take it because it for the finality of it, or did they feel like, you know what, he's got a relatively compelling idea? I mean, it is a coincidence with the burglary and the van,
Which was
and then
left
they
out of
find
the
a van.
trial.
Yeah, the judge wouldn't allow it. The judge
So
would not allow
that's-
any of that into the trial.
That's probably another reason that the Innocence Project says there's this variable that hasn't been looked at. We at the Innocence Project have an open mind. We don't make emotional decisions
Yep.
like most of
think
the
so.
public do. And this is a very emotional case.
Well,
Anytime that it involves
A
things
pregnant
like
woman.
sure. So I think the Innocence Project is just willing to take it on to get to the truth. And like Jeff said, that's to have some finality, and that's the kind of finality you want.
It's funny how
Every
the
stone is
prosecution usually says that that's their goal. Well, we want finality in our judgments, or in the case. But then you have this instance where you're like, well, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to create finality, to end it, and to anybody, if there's any open questions, hey, there won't be an open question. And let me add one more point to that. If there's blood on a mattress in a van, of a burnt out van, and it's not Laci Peterson's, well, who the hell is it?
Right.
Right.
Is it another crime? And you're just going, oh, it's not related to this case, so it's not important.
Right.
See, that's another variable because that could be the answer. And that's what the defendant, that's what Peterson is saying it has to be. The timelines are just so screwed up, though.
Well,
And
that's
part of
that's
that
another thing.
is,
That's another thing
yeah,
about Karen. What was her last name? She had an odd last name. The neighbor.
Service.
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 That found the
Yeah.
dog.
Look
Yeah.
at you, Sanders.
They tied everything around finding this dog at 10:18. But if she's wrong, everything falls apart. Everything
right.
falls apart.
Well,
But they had the shopping receipt that
she could have still been in the house at that time, and the dog ran out. Right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just
but
don't.
Laci.
I mean, who lets their dog out with a leash on?
That's true, but I don't know. Everything's tied. I know everything that they got that Shopko statement, the receipt, but I'm just saying everything is tied to that receipt. That this
Right.
so
Yeah, you have to trust that her memory of events is correct.
right.
You have to trust that the neighbors who said they saw her on a walk and, they're giving the investigator consistent accountings of what she was wearing. And, so they've established a pattern where she walked the dog through the neighborhood. They didn't call any of those people at trial, right?
Now the
I don't think they
defense
did.
that was another thing that the defense made the decision on to not put these neighbors that saw her on the stand because
Why would they do that?
Well, we don't see a lot of it in really either documentary, but there's a lot of talk in it, especially the second one, about the police discrediting these various witnesses around the neighborhood that said they saw her. But we don't see a lot of that. I'm not dug into it personally. So
I'm just thinking, eyewitness testimony. Maybe it was the day before they saw her. Maybe it was the 23rd, and they're remembering wrong. Or I don't think they were discrediting the people themselves.
They
but
were.
It's just the whole eyewitness testimony.
No, they said
how unreliable.
They said specifically the police spent a lot of time discrediting these neighbors. That's the words in the second.
I didn't remember that. Okay.
What's in the second documentary?
All right, we'll try.
There were quite a few of them.
Just focus on
this one. It's hard.
Anyway,
I know it's hard. It's hard, especially if you probably just watched that second one, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out. I was asking Stacy, was that from the first one or the second one?
Uh-oh. The one part that I did notice in the second one, sorry, I just said let's focus on it's hard. It's impossible. So whatever, throw that rule out. Is that he bought a fishing license on the 9th or something like the 20th, and it was a 2-day fishing license, and it was never really clear as to like which 2 days, but in the Peacock they do explain it was the 23rd to the 25th, so it was right when this was going to happen, and so that's premeditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure seems that way.
There are just so many lies from him that
how can you trust anything?
Right? What does the Innocence Project think about all of his lies? He lies about how many anchors he made. It's obvious that he made 5 anchors. He said he made 1. There's only 1 there, so that means 4 are somewhere.
And he made an anchor that didn't have a line attached to it.
Yeah, it didn't have rope on it. What's the point?
How
of having
good is
the
an anchor
with no rope?
And the other question I'd like to ask is that bay, I'd like to know the depth chart of that, but I'm assuming it's extremely deep. I don't think that little anchor, you would need hundreds of feet of rope. It just doesn't make sense to anchor yourself off. I guess if you're near that island, I guess I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but
boat needs an anchor. I mean,
Did the boat have any? I don't know.
yeah, there's one of them in there, the one
Well,
that he
one
made.
with no rope, but
Right, with no rope.
I mean, I'm assuming those anchors were tied to 2 arms and
Her
2
body.
legs.
Right.
Right.
And that's why only the torso came up. Like that's another part that kind of fits that, is that only
Uh-huh.
the torso rose up because it gross enough to say it deteriorated, and then the it floated up.
Yeah.
The
I
other
mean,
part is that he didn't buy anchors. Think about that. He didn't buy an anchor because then there'd be that trail
mhm.
of him buying an anchor. That's why I feel like he made them.
Right.
I don't know what you guys think
Yeah,
about that.
physiological process of decomposition, it's the same thing with the whole, it's intra-abdominal gases that build up and build pressure
Right.
in the, well, abdominal, which would make her torso float, and then she's got anchors basically, pulling her apart, which seems super gross, but
Right.
that's what it would be.
Sounds pretty
And then
realistic. Yeah.
it's the same physiological response that would cause Connor to be born, to
be
be
expelled.
expelled from her womb.
I did find information on the autopsy.
You did?
Why don't you share that
via,
with us?
via Google. Yeah. Do you want me to read it, or
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
it's a pretty short little article. Laci Peterson's head and parts of her limbs were missing, and plastic tape was wrapped around the neck of her child, according to the full autopsy and coroner's photographs exclusively seen by ABC News. According to the autopsy, the skin of the child was not decomposed at all, though the right side of his body was mutilated, and the placenta and umbilical cord were not found with the body. The autopsy said that the cause of Laci's death was undetermined, and there was no evidence of man-made wounds, despite the fact that her head and all or parts of her limbs were missing. Peterson's body was so badly decomposed it barely looked like a body after it was found in San Francisco Bay last month. However, the autopsy report showed her cervix was intact. Experts are divided over whether the new revelations about the condition of Laci Peterson's body and that of her child will help prosecutors or attorneys representing Laci's husband, Scott, who's been charged in the case. On
That's really
Thursday,
interesting.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, on Thursday, sources close to the investigation to ABC, the sealed autopsy report indicated a piece of nylon tape was looped around the child's neck when it washed ashore last month, and that there was a laceration or tear on the tiny body. I read elsewhere that it was like 1.5 times wrapped around his neck. There also was tape on Laci Peterson's lower torso outside her clothing. And it doesn't say what her clothing was, but I'm wondering if it was a white shirt and black pants, like the people said they saw her. When her body was found on April 14th, a day after her baby's remains were recovered. Forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Bodden told Good Morning America that the limbs and head were probably removed before Laci was put in the water. Bodden, the former chief pathologist of New York City, said it could not be determined from the autopsy how the baby came out of Laci's body. It does tell us that the baby was in the womb for many months after Laci was in the water, And Laci, in fact, protected the baby until the baby came out shortly before the bodies were found, Bodden said. He said the tape on Laci's body and the cement bag that was found washed up on the shore near the baby could be important evidence.
Cement bag.
Cement bag?
Yeah. Washed up
Who
on
made,
the shore.
who is using cement? I mean, that doesn't make any. There's no connection to
Well-
a cement bag, is there?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he
Yeah.
made the anchors with cement.
Absolutely,
But
he did.
did he? But the cement bags, like,
Did he take those out and throw them out also?
oh,
don't
maybe
know.
he took them.
The
Maybe
empty bags?
he did. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
he did, so that there wouldn't be
Part
he
of the
thought there
crime.
wouldn't be evidence that he made more than one anchor
There you
Right?
go.
if he had all these, a couple empty
Yeah, if you have
bags.
10 empty cement bags and they're like, I only made one anchor. They're like, well, where's the rest of the cement, bro?
So she was found April 14th. So
That's a long time. 4 months.
That's
Yeah,
that's
I mean-
3 months and 3 weeks. Yeah.
I don't know why Bodden doesn't. I don't know why he would think that she was mutilated. What's the
Yeah, I
anchor?
don't
What
either.
the anchor's going to be tied to? I think more than likely he probably tied her hands and her legs together.
Maybe
Oh,
one
And-
around her neck, but
And
her head up.
right. And
put
that's
two
what
anchors
severed
on
her
each
neck.
end.
Yeah.
Then when the baby finally comes out, because I mean, if it was a fetus that was just, a few weeks, several weeks, a couple months, 2-3 months, it's different than an 8-month baby. That baby could have already weighed 8 pounds,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
technically full term. Yeah.
and you would
But
expect in the research that I did, they expect that she wouldn't expel an almost full term baby for a long
Right.
time until her body decomposes. So, I mean, the
She's-
tape on the baby could be just the tape that had degraded in the water over those months. And when the
Right.
baby finally was able to come out because her, because
Body
her
deter-
limbs
body
came
deteriorated.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it
Then
said
it got caught up
plastic
in the
tape,
tape.
not duct tape. It's plastic tape, which could have just been floating in the ocean too.
I was gonna say I didn't know the baby
Somehow.
had any kind of tape on it. That's
That's the
wow.
first time I had heard that either. And that
I find
does-
it fascinating that
Yeah.
the baby's skin was not decomposed at all.
I think it's interesting like that, but her body, him being inside, it protected the fetus from more decomp. You know what I mean? That
Right.
So
kind
it's
of
like-
makes sense.
It just seems like it would decompose anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
After
have no
death,
idea.
I don't know.
4
Well,
months is
being-
a long time to be.
being inside that
A long
Sack.
time.
Well,
inside
what's
that
the
water sack.
temperature? The temperature.
Cold?
Joe.
It had to
Yeah,
be cool. It had to be
that's-
definitely be
Yeah.
cool. hmm
So that's a
That'll slow it down.
variable.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
It's like that the baby came out, and when that happened, they both just kind of floated in from the bay into the shore. That's
Well, there was
Yeah.
nothing holding Laci down anymore once her limbs degraded and came
Yeah.
apart, and the baby couldn't come out if her legs were taped together or tied together with the anchors. The baby wouldn't have been able to even come out,
Yeah,
even if it was
right.
being pushed out until that happened.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Not to change the subject, but to Travis's comment, he says they're trying to test some DNA that was never tested. Other than that, it's a done deal. Most interesting thing about this series is where the Scott Peterson's family was in comparison to the rest of the world.
Do you
And I
mean-
was thinking,
Was mentally like where their heads were at,
Well-
or where they physically were?
no, I think mentally. Yeah, the
Yeah,
thing
okay.
is, for so many of us, and I'm sure they probably are just like seething about it. But you think about just the sheer sneaky, whatever you want to call it, way he this whole Amber Fry thing, and he even lied to her numerous times. And this all was at that time frame, so he's certainly capable. So that tells me, and we don't know. This is just speculation. Don't hold me to anything more than because of what I see here. This is something that he's very practiced at. He's
Lying?
because well, yeah. I mean, to that degree. I mean, it's everybody lies one way or another. A little white lie
Not
here and
me.
there.
Never lied.
Oh, yeah.
Not once.
I think he's a master liar.
Well, there's just no way to me. Somebody's mindset doesn't go there just like that.
No.
This is something that somebody does. This is who they are. So I think that there are very possibly other things in his past that we're unaware of, that the family is aware of. Look, I'm sure the family, just like any other family, they don't want their loved one in prison for life, whatever. Of course, he was facing the death penalty for, what was it, 8 years before the sentence got overturned? Yeah, something like that. Whatever. He was on death row for 8 years. But I think Travis, the way he's stating this is correct because we all see this and like, dude, you're not helping these detectives. And there's this other part of it too that I didn't really talk a lot about, but uh, people that have, hey baby, people that are familiar with police tactics, they know that. I'm sure he knew in his situation he's going to be number one suspect. So he's already putting up a fence around himself, and he keeps that fence up and expands it, and it just makes him look worse. Now, I'm not saying these guys didn't, there wasn't some weird shit that went on, because clearly there was. Some things got done that probably made them look pretty terrible. For Keeney, the detective, removing that one line from his report, he shouldn't have done that. You just don't do that. You just leave it in, let other people, because it was in other police reports, the other detectives, it was in their report. Why remove it from yours? It makes them look awful. The van
And he
seats.
acts like that's why he did it, because it was someone else had a.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
right. He should have just said, "Hey, I shouldn't have done it. I should have just left it in there. It's in other reports."
But he's just putting his thumb on the scales, just like the whole. I'm sorry, I don't believe those two guys that. I mean, how interesting that they found two guys that solved the burglary right away, and they came forward because they didn't want to get framed for the murder.
Right. Well,
I
there was
mean,
there was an informant involved too, a confidential informant, which
sure,
we
and
never find.
that's always an excellent situation. Anytime
Oh
an
Yeah,
my
informant
God.
right.
has something to say about it.
Well, then you can't face your accuser because they're like, oh, they're confidential. We can't let that out. Oh my God.
I mean, come on, man. They were just making sure that he got convicted. They're doing what they do, and it pisses me off. I hate
Yeah,
that shit.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
too.
I agree.
I agree, and
Just,
that's why I rambled on like that. I agree, Kay.
hey, Travis. So when the LA Innocence Project argued for the DNA testing, the judge denied items 1 through 4 based on California Section 1405. And those were the items from the van. Like there was a mattress with a bloody mattress, and I don't know what the other 3 items were. What
Either.
is that? What part of 1405 made her deny it? Was it that because that wasn't allowed into the trial, that part about the burglary, or because I don't understand that, I guess.
Maybe it was 4 cuttings from the mattress. I don't know what else was in there.
Yeah, but I don't know what section 1405
Right.
says that, because the owner of the van wasn't on trial for the murder, so it can't be allowed, or I don't understand
Yeah, I didn't either. And
the
they specifically,
legalese.
yeah, same here. I don't know. It just seemed like a weird thing. And to me, I mean, this is another part of, I think, of what we all don't like to see is when they went, they went to some pretty good effort to say the burglary is not in any way associated with Laci, and maybe it's not. Look, I think
Maybe it's
there's
not, but why not test it if there's a
right
possibility?
finality,
Rule it
right?
out.
Yeah, exactly. But
So Travis answered, he said that could only be denied if it was available at trial and they didn't test it.
Well,
It
it
wasn't
Did they
on
was,
allow
but the
testing
judge
of?
wouldn't allow it in. It
Right, the
was
judge would-
available, but the judge wouldn't allow any of that in.
that's right.
And then
They
I
allowed
found
testing on the tape, the duct tape that was found around her. That's it.
Well, I found in this article here, and I'll throw it up on the screen. It said that they were searching up to like 600 items that weren't submitted by prosecution during the trial.
Wow, I wonder what
And
that list is.
a judge has 90 days to rule on the decision. I thought they had already ruled. I guess there's something still up in the air. I'm naive.
There
that
is, yeah,
Okay.
there is.
That's
Go ahead,
not an
Susan.
older article because
This is
they
from
just
No.
ruled.
a week ago.
No, there's something that they said
This
in
is-
the second documentary that there's something else that she has to decide on.
Yeah. August 14th is when this article came out. I'll drop it in the chat if anybody wants to review it.
The judge
So are they
did
just-
allow the testing of the duct tape.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, say that again?
The judge
During
allowed
this-
the testing of the duct tape.
During this
Oh.
hearing that I heard, that I watched on YouTube, I think it was 13 or 14 items, 15 maybe, they were asking to have tested.
Correct.
And she ruled that 1 through 4, she couldn't let them test that because of 1405. And I can't remember. I mean, I know it was that hearing that she said yes on the duct tape, but I don't know. I can't
That
remember.
was just maybe Friday, or it was
Yeah.
very recent.
I don't remember if she took anything under advisement. Do you, Susan?
I don't believe so. I think
Yeah,
she
this is
denied
why I-
everything. I think she denied everything but the duct tape. Is what I
Yeah,
read.
but there was another motion or something filed in July, I think, about some other testing. I don't remember what it was. They didn't really go
Okay.
into it. If they did, I missed it.
I'm not aware of that.
But yeah, getting back to the Laci documentary, and there were other things. Again, I hate to jump into the Peterson documentary, but it showed other things in addition to what was shown in the Laci documentary about his actions when he comes home that day from fishing. Right, goes home. Laci's not there. Dog, I guess, is in the backyard because that's where the neighbor. Karen Service says she put the dog and shut the gate. He grabs some pizza and milk. Laci's not there. He's not calling her phone. He's not
Just so
trying to.
weird.
The shower.
He did. Then he went and took a shower.
With
Drinks
some
a glass of
laundry.
milk, does a load of laundry.
Doing laundry. And I thought it was just his clothes, but from the Peterson documentary, there's a pile of rags on top of that wash machine that we didn't see in the Laci's documentary, which I thought was strange. But his actions at that point to me are like, dude, your wife's 8.5 months pregnant and she's not there. Why aren't you going?
And her car
insane?
is there.
Her
And
car is
her-
Yeah, and this is what I said earlier. It's like her car is there, her phone is there, her purse is there, but maybe she's at mom's.
Right.
right.
What?
He makes a comment to the police that he thinks her phone is in her car. What do you
Right.
mean?
Might
You
be.
think
You
it's
didn't
in her
look?
car?
You didn't
I
call
mean-
it. You didn't look. You didn't search her car. You didn't. Ooh.
You
Maybe
didn't.
He
she's
also
missing.
dumped out the mop bucket.
He dumped out the mop bucket. That's right.
Huh.
He did.
That he mentioned that to the cops?
It's in the second
Yes.
documentary. Yes, it's in the second documentary, not the first one. We found that out. He dumped the mop bucket water, and they're like, "Well, why was Laci mopping?" He's like, "Well, she's kind of like that, kind of a not really a clean freak, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, that's
It's just
right.
kind of her thing, She mops, keeps things clean." That's in the Peterson documentary. We don't see that in Laci's documentary, which I
Mhm,
found
mhm.
also a bit weird. Anyway, my point is, he does all these things, but now and I get it. Again, I get the family. They're wanting to believe him. I understand, but at the same time, he's
I
the
think they're
last
in
one that.
denial. They're in denial.
Well, sure. I mean, but he's the last known one to have seen Laci before he
Right.
left that morning. Of course, their focus is going to be on him.
And
And
a
then,
person like that can hide that
oh,
self from
the
everybody if
family,
they want
the
to.
family, sure,
The family,
sure they can.
especially, they have no clue what he's like really inside that brain.
Yeah.
If he is indeed a psychopath, which I believe
Well,
he is.
I think he is too. I'm sorry to say that, and I hate to be judgmental, but I really do.
What's the lies? So he's telling all these lies to make the affair not be public, or because things look bad. I mean, some of the lies were stupid, like, did you take a polygraph test? I'm not going to say if I
Police.
did or I didn't. The police asked me not to talk about that.
They never
Right.
said
Right.
that. They
Yeah.
never told him
Yeah,
not
and
to
why
talk
would
about
he
it.
say that on a national TV?
And
What, he
going on
thinks
with
the cops aren't gonna watch that?
going on with Diane Sawyer and saying that, yeah, I told Laci about the affair, and she
Yeah.
was okay with it. Yeah, she was cool. What?
Or Laci
And
found one of those 4 other phones that you have
Yeah.
and then said, "What are you doing? Cheating on me while I'm 8 months pregnant?" And he's like, "Mind your own business. I'm gonna have to take you to the." I don't know. It doesn't seem like the crime. I mean, I
the
guess he could have
hell?
strangled her in the home, but it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
the crime maybe happened in the home. That's another thing. Where did this happen?
I think he did
I
strangle her
think
in the
it
home.
did.
Probably strangled her.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
did they have a garage where he could have backed his truck
Yep.
in
Yep.
and
Seems like, yeah.
transferred her?
They did.
Yeah.
They did have a garage.
Yeah.
I think if it wouldn't have happened in the home, there would have been no need, no need for the 4 umbrellas that were in the back of his truck and the
Right.
tarp.
Yeah.
Well, if he did that, put her in the back of the truck in a, whatever, a tarp or whatever, then he put the 4 umbrellas on top of that as transporting, so cop pulls him over, he's got the 4 umbrellas laying, he's like, "What's that back there?" "Oh, I got some outside umbrellas, I'm putting them in the shop." "Oh, okay."
So I'm going to read the comment from Travis and appreciate you laying this out for us, Travis. 1405 says D explain in light of all evidence how the requested D is the defendant, right? The defendant must show and explain in the light of evidence how the requested DNA testing would raise a reasonable probability that the convicted person's verdict or sentence would be more favorable in the results of the DNA testing had been available at the time of conviction. I'm guessing they didn't show that. So it's a little bit in the weeds there, legalese, but it makes sense.
I mean, so it was available. I mean, when did they find that van?
Not the testing, though. DNA testing.
No, but they denied
the
anything
results.
at all coming in related to the van or the burglary or anything. So
it was just a
even
few
if-
days it was just a few days after I think the event. Okay, I think that's right. It was very
That's what
early
I
in
thought so too.
Yeah, it's early.
So it was available at the time of trial, but the judge said none of that's coming in. And
You mean them knowing about this van and this mattress, but they didn't
Correct.
actually test the DNA, correct?
Correct.
well,
this
how
says-
would they get the
they
DNA to test it? I mean,
They
Well,
didn't-
this
the
says
defense
if
didn't
the
have it.
results of DNA testing had been available at the time, the results weren't available.
The testing wasn't allowed, right?
Right.
Nothing
So there were
related
no
to the
results.
burglary. Yeah, nothing related to the burglary or the van
well
was a part of the case, according to
this,
the judge. So
this arson investigator from the second doc that they talked to, they did a presumptive test, and it was human blood.
Yeah, but then they also did another test and said it wasn't blood later
Well, that's true. They
I'm-
did. But
in the lab.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'm confused about that.
Right.
You understand
Well,
what you?
we all know that what's the stuff the presumptive test, the stuff they use.
It's phenolphthalein.
Yeah, that a lot of things can react with that.
Well, I mean,
You know,
there's
maybe
luminol.
something
there's
it's
luminol
something in the
testing.
mattress. Luminol.
There's luminol.
That's the word.
Yeah.
That's what they used. They put a
Well-
piece in a vial of luminol and it glowed. But a lot of things can react with luminol, is my
That's
point.
true. That's
It's
absolutely
not
true.
necessarily blood. And then they
Well-
did test it in the lab and it showed no blood. That's what it was.
I'll have to look and see if I can find any motion hearings that would deal with the burglary in the van and the evidence in the van.
Yeah.
Pre-trial stuff.
In 2 weeks, we're going to talk about this case again. If you guys are interested out there, just to everybody who's listening, that we're going to cover the Peacock documentary in 2 weeks. And so we're going to revisit this case in 2 weeks and then come back. And so we'll have some time to collect that stuff. So yeah, see if you can dig up any more of that stuff. I forget, was that Susan talking or Katie? I'm sorry.
That was Katie.
That was Katie. I found something you guys might find interesting. Jack, you know, he's pretty good and fast. He found all the court documents, and I can share that link as well. But here's one that I found, and this is a receipt for, I think it said Trader Joe's, and this is the receipt for Laci shopping on the day before. So on the 23rd, you can see here on the 23rd, I think you guys can see that. Yeah, 23rd.
Yeah.
So he says she was going to go shopping on the 24th is when he said she was going to go shopping, but she had already done, look at all this stuffed salmon, Grand Marnier, heavy cream. She had already done all her shopping on the 23rd.
Well,
why
you know,
would
it's
she need to
Christmas time.
You got to go back.
You may have to go back. I mean,
Forgot
I've done that
something.
a million times. Yeah.
But that's that's different between, well, she forgot something, or she was going to do this anyway.
She was going to make gingerbread. Is there anything
Right.
on there that shows?
Well, there's eggs, Barbara's cinnamon cereal, grocery, maple syrup, frozen dessert,
No, not
strudel.
really.
Maybe there isn't enough for the gingerbread stuff. Anyway,
You know. Yeah. No.
I've had
there's
it
her
already.
signature. I mean, there's her signature right there. So,
Huh.
and I will share the court document link right here with you guys in the chat.
That does show, however, like I said, it could have been the 23rd that she was walking the dog. But if she's leaving the grocery store at 10:04, chances are, by the time she got home, unpacked the groceries and all of that, she probably wasn't out walking the dog. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
If they were mistaken, if the witnesses were mistaken on the day.
And was she working on the 23rd as well?
Did she work?
I thought so.
I didn't know.
Didn't they?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Where did she work?
I can't remember, but I thought I heard that she worked. Let me see if I wrote it down.
Substitute teacher. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's when they met. She was a sub. Let me see. Well, maybe she was a sub.
I didn't write it down. I thought I remembered hearing that though. Maybe it was in the second documentary as well. It's hard to
It
keep
says
them
Laci
separate.
Peterson was a substitute teacher described as bubbly, vivacious, in the life of every party.
Well, they could have been on Christmas break already, so
Right.
if that's the case.
You know, I have to say that 1405 just doesn't make sense for denying the testing on that.
The statute? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't work for me either.
I mean, I guess if we knew what kind of pretrial motions around that and what happened there, it might be different. But
Third party culprit.
yeah, I don't know.
Stewart says, well, maybe, she was 8 months pregnant. She couldn't carry all those groceries in one trip. And it's like, yeah, especially when you have a useless husband who doesn't help you.
Well,
Right.
he's got a side thing to take care of. That takes a lot.
Yeah.
He's got another previous obligation.
Yeah.
So they had
three.
11,000 tips that came into Modesto Police Department.
Good Lord.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really curious about what clothes she had on when they found her, because they said the tape was wrapped around her clothes on the outside.
Yeah,
and all
and,
those witnesses, all those witnesses said she had a white shirt and black pants on.
Yeah, I wonder if we could get to the bottom of that. I know that all those autopsy stuff is sealed, so we can't see it, but somebody somewhere had to have.
Yeah. They showed it during trial. The autopsy
Yuck.
photos.
That's really crazy.
Horrible for the jurors.
Oh, I'm sure those are images that you'll never get out of your head.
Right.
Yeah, it's something I don't want to see.
I have no interest in seeing that
either.
at all.
No.
One of
Please don't
Scott's
share.
other lies. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of Scott's other lies, which if he didn't have a whole bunch of other lies, this thing wouldn't have been such a big deal to me. And if he had responded emotionally like a normal person would, if their pregnant wife was missing and her purse and car and phone and the dog's in the backyard, Alicia's back there somewhere probably, because the neighbor probably took the leash off and draped it over the fence or something. Or put it in the backyard. All those things that would be red flags that would panic someone. If he had responded normally to those things, hearing that he told the neighbor that he had gone golfing that day could have just been like, I'm stressed. I misspoke because I was thinking about going golfing. But the other thing about him telling the police that he had planned to go golfing, but it was too cold, so he went boating. Tell me, people, which is the colder thing to do, golfing or boating?
Open in the like out in the open air in the water and the breeze on your. I mean, I'm a golfer, so I don't want to wear a winter coat while I'm golfing because I can't swing. So that could make sense that it's a little too cold to golf, but you know what? I could get the boat out for 20 minutes or whatever and zoom around, but I don't know.
Yeah, what was the temperature on that day? What was the temperature in Modesto?
Jack, it was like it was cold. It was like 40s or 50s or something. It was a cold day. We just looked it up.
Yeah, it was I think you looked it up and it was like supposed to be like mid to upper 40s. It was quite chilly.
Oh my God, that's cold on the water.
Well, yeah, but playing golf, it would have been. I mean, I've done it, but you know, it's a
That's no
different.
fun.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
it's a
if
different.
it's miserable and you're complaining about it being too cold to play golf, then I'm sorry, it's not going to be an enjoyable thing to take the boat out on the water either. Neither of those
Well,
things are going to be good.
I
was it
agree.
colder? It's gonna be colder on the water. I'm sorry, but it is. But then again,
Yeah.
you're just supposed to be like out driving the boat, so you know you're not trying to worry about a golf game. It's a I get it, but at the same time, him buying that fishing license early for those 2 days is weird to me. And it does
Well,
say it does look like premeditation, whether it was or not. That's what it looks like.
Travis says he's been on that bay hundreds of times, way colder on the water. So he says it'd be colder.
Absolutely.
Of course,
Yeah.
it is.
Heck
So-
yeah.
We got tons of comments here to read from Travis, and I really appreciate you posting these. I'll do my best to
Jeff?
read them. First one.
Jeff,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I just ask before the last picture that was up, the receipt from Bella Farms?
Yeah, that's the
That's
one I was
that's what-
looking at.
That's what he told Laci he didn't have time to pick up, right?
That's what I was going to say. And this is from the day before.
Yeah.
So he says he doesn't have time to go to Vela Farms, but here's a receipt from the day before at Vela Farms, picking up candy nuts, fancy food, the whole
It was
basket.
a gift. Yeah.
That's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I had that picture up for exactly. I'm glad that you said that because I kind of drifted away from it because the conversation.
Yeah.
But another thing that's just like inconsistent. It's not necessarily a lie. It's just that's goofy. That and like I said earlier, like there's very few things that fall in situational support of him.
I agree.
All right, so I'll try to catch up on these comments. So Travis says the prosecution's opposition to the DNA motion argues that there is no constitutional right to DNA testing. Number 2, Marcy's law prohibits DNA testing. Number 3, the evidence Mr. Peterson presented in support of the instant motion is not new. Number 4, the evidence Mr. Peterson relies on was IO or could have been previously litigated. And 5, Peterson had failed to meet the requirements of 11 section 1405. Number 6, Mr. Peterson cannot show that there is a reasonable probability of more 12 favorable outcomes at trial because there was overwhelming circumstantial evidence of his guilt presented at trial. And then he cites it with the page number. So it wasn't just one reason. It looks like there was 6 the V1. Yeah. So 6 different points that they denied it.
That's interesting. But at the same time, this judge at trial wouldn't allow any of the burglary shit in. So it died. It died on the vine. So I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so that's a little confusing for me because it wasn't allowed in. So the one saying it could have been litigated prior is not really. That doesn't work.
I think the
Was it
laws
Viola
need to
from
be
Medina?
changed about evidence.
Instead of changing them, they just make them worse by doing things like Marcy's law.
Yeah, which is, I'm not sure what it is, but
it just gives, I mean, it's another thing that aids in wrongful convictions.
Okay, I found an answer to one of your questions. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but
you're fine.
Here is a picture of the motherhood maternity picture of the pants Laci was found in.
Oh, wow. So they weren't black. Unless were they that color or?
Here's another picture of the pants that, well, I don't know if they're saying the color. There's like a bunch of them. Here's another picture of the pants that she was found in. There's like 4 of them. I'll share all of them. Oh, and then here's another one. See, does this make sense?
She
That's
had that on at
Because
that.
this one says, "Oh, motherhood maternity picture of Laci in the Christmas pantsuit." Okay, they're not she
Yeah.
was found in. Those earlier ones, I
friend's party.
apologize. These are the pants that her body was found in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said black pants and a white top.
maybe, yeah, and a lot of people said that.
But also, that
Maybe,
may be the only photo of them that somebody can find online, you know, and they're white, doesn't show a black pair. I don't know.
maybe
fair.
the investigator did what detectives do sometimes and fed the people information. Did she have on black pants and a white shirt when you saw her, or to
Oh, yeah,
try to get more people to say the same thing to make it more credible that
right,
they saw her walking on the loop.
right.
um
Well,
I
they
mean,
may have had,
detectives, yeah,
I don't know if any
detectives.
of those people went on the news at the time, you know.
Mm.
One of them may have said that.
Jack posted, Marcy's law ensures that victims of crime have equal constitutional rights on the same level as those accused of the convicted of crimes. Yeah, that's a
That's
sticky,
interesting.
sticky law, isn't it?
Yeah, and the different states have different versions of Marcy's Law. This is kind of a catch-all for all of them. There's a Wikipedia page for the one in California, which is I just did a quick Google look up. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. I get that, but to me that can run afoul into the due process clause in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
So they're
I'm
trying
not
to
saying
say
that.
that her family is against the DNA testing, I guess.
Well, basically that they have the
They
same,
just
at
want
least the same.
finality. They say, when
Yeah,
can't this just be over? Can it just be over? When's it going to end? All he
yeah,
wants to do is be free. That's
Right.
But then in a way, it's like, well, if you want it over, then test the
that's the
DNA,
way.
and then it'll be over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop that link for you. Here. I found this. If you look at the screen right now, this is the 2-day fishing license, and you can see on there 23rd and 24th.
Date valid. Date valid.
bought it
Yep.
on the 23rd.
He bought it on the 23rd, and it was for the 23rd and 24th. Yep.
Meditated.
So he bought it when he got there, and not on the 20th.
When he got where?
Well, does it say?
Or no,
where-
the day before.
Day
It had to be
before. The day before she went missing. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking the 20th. I think that's what it said in Laci's documentary that he was
That's
there
what
on
I
the
thought
20th.
too.
Yeah,
I
it
for
did.
some reason remembered that.
It did.
They had it wrong.
So he made a
Okay.
trip on the 23rd up to Modesto Bay and picked up that license for the 23rd or for 2 days.
Oh, I think you can buy a fishing license just about anywhere in the state.
Does
Well,
it say
maybe-
where that was purchased?
He wouldn't have had to go to Modesto to buy it. It's like here, I mean, you can go to any bait shop or,
Stuart says he
whatever,
bought
get a
it
fishing license.
before he changed his mind from golf to fishing.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Good
true.
point.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Susan. I'm not going to say it's like that in every state because, quite frankly, I
It is
don't know. I
here.
get
It is here. Fishing, hunting licenses. Yeah, you don't have to be at the place you're going to fish.
He did own a gun.
I'd really like to know where he bought it. That is a good
Yeah,
question,
it doesn't
Susan.
say on there,
Mm-mm.
on that receipt.
And it could probably be ran down, but whatever. Maybe they didn't.
Here are pictures from the jetty where Connor's body was found. I don't know if this is even helpful.
Well, there, you know, that website that I found it, man, there's just, oh
So
my
many
God,
pictures. It's so much.
there are thousands of pictures in that thing, man. It's crazy. It just goes on and on and on. A massive case.
Well, if you can see here, you know, Laci's recovery site's over here. Connor's recovery site's over here. Pretty close, considering the bay. It's a pretty big place.
Well,
Stuart
sure.
has a good question.
But not really close.
Is the license purchase on the fishing lures receipt? Do we
I'll
have
see if
a
I can
fishing
find
lure?
I'll see if I can look at that. And then I wanted to post this here. They want to test the duct tape that's been in salt water for a month, previously tested not enough for a solid ID. Has tech changed that much on the amplification since then? Possible.
It's almost 4 months, Travis,
yeah,
that
almost
she was in the water.
It was 4 months they were
4
in the
months.
water, Travis.
I can't believe there would be any DNA on that, but
I can't either. Not anything
in
viable.
salt water.
Fish DNA. Crab
DNA.
Seriously, I mean, that's what
No,
they
I know.
do. You know? It's disgusting, but
So here you go. Here's the same picture of where Connor's body was found, but this is high tide. Notice how things could float into this jetty.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, there is so much on that website. It would literally take you hours and hours to go through every link.
I'm just kind of picking out a few here and there that look interesting to share while you guys were talking. Here's a good one: the hair in the pliers.
Yeah, that I don't know how sensitive DNA testing was then.
Well, unless it has to have the follicle or whatever, the piece at the end.
Well,
root,
for DNA,
right.
The root, yeah.
But the mtDNA on hair, I think, is improved because it has MT. It's not, it's like bone, more bone type. But I don't know what they can gather from that. Probably nothing, I guess. But that is interesting. But again, I have to fall back to how Scott. We talked about it. How he presented himself. He was calm. It was like he was arrogant enough to think that I can just remain calm and at level, kind of dead man. And his 8.5-month wife is missing.
Yeah, calm and a flat affect are two different things.
Well, that's right.
He's like a freak.
What's that wheel doing there?
You get to see more of that in the other face-to-face with Scott Peterson on Peacock, because it's more of an interview from him in jail, and he's still just like that talk. I mean, anyway, I'll save that.
What is the wheel doing? What would you need a wheel in a boat for?
That's trailer.
They use that for a bumper?
No, that's too small to be a trailer wheel.
No, that's trailer wheel.
No, it's not. It's not a big boat. No, I'm saying it's not too small. I think it's a trailer wheel.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, well,
right. There it is.
The spare.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right.
Hey, what about the detective saying, let me get this quote. Well,
I want to read that comment while you're going. Travis says, the motion on that particular item said that it was tested. DNA was present, but not enough for an ID, so they want to rerun it. The only item the court allowed.
That's interesting because DNA has improved,
drastically.
1,000,000%.
What was that from? Can you guys refresh me? That DNA was from the duct tape found on her or him?
On her, I think.
On her. Yeah, on Laci.
Okay.
It said in that autopsy report that it was wrapped around the outside on her clothing.
And that's weird. What? I mean,
Well, we're talking all around it, but another aspect that can't be ignored, it must be included. He goes 90 miles to put that boat in the water, and there are reservoirs within 10, 15 miles of their home. He could have got that boat in the water.
That's right.
Plenty of them. But he decides to drive 90 miles to go do this. Her
I
and
mean, it
Connor
is different putting it into a bay versus
Sure.
a reservoir.
Well, sure,
Um,
I get that.
how far
Still,
is his shop from the bay?
90 miles. It's in Modesto. The shop is
90
It's not-
miles. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I
his
yeah.
shop?
I
I
didn't
think so.
think his shop was there.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I think it's there in town. I'm just assumed that it was. They didn't act like it
You
was
mean the,
any great distance.
you mean the
Well, they
town they
kept the
live
boat.
in?
Yeah, Modesto.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What's the town where he went fishing?
San Francisco.
Well,
Oakland.
it's south of San Francisco.
Oakland.
South of San. Yeah,
Oakland. Okay.
south of San Francisco in that area. Hmm.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't think his shop
Oh.
was too far from home.
No,
And
because the cop was like, "Can you take me over there quick?" And it seemed like they were over there right away. They didn't have far to go.
Right. So, but then they end up being found there. What? I mean, it looks whether he's I think he did it again. Now I'm not saying he did.
Right.
I'm just
And
saying
he
whether he
even-
did it or not.
Here's
Go
the
ahead.
thing: no matter how much you want to give him the benefit of the doubt on everything, okay,
Right.
you want to say, okay, maybe the burglary people who committed the burglary, they forced her into the van and whatever. But in the end, where the bodies are found, how do you ever explain that? How would they know, based on Scott Peterson's timeline of events, how
The
would they
press.
know where he went and put his boat in the water? And how that's the one
The-
thing that's can't be explained, really.
It
How do
was
you
in the press.
But did
It
they
was
say
in the
where he
press
went? Well, that's true.
I believe they did. Yeah, and what a perfect way to get away with murder.
Did they
When
find
they
any
saw
of those
my
anchors
profile.
that he made?
So
With
her?
in the second documentary, there is a brief spot, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but in that one, there were some people that went searching the bay and found a couple concrete anchors, but the law enforcement told them it was unrelated.
Oh, and
Huh.
threw him back. That's right. They threw him back in. Who does that? Okay.
Who does that?
Anchors.
He also lied
especially.
about using the big silver lure to fish with because it was still in the package. It's a good point, Stuart.
Yeah.
It is.
He had
Yeah,
a stronger motive than the burglars.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then I don't. Well, no, never mind. This is in the second one too.
No, go. I
What
mean, go
is it?
ahead.
What is in the first one is the detective saying somehow pictures of Scott and Amber in the red dress got leaked to the media. Oh, no
Yep.
shit. Somehow. I wonder how that happened, sir.
Yeah.
Well,
No
it could have been
kidding.
Amber.
It could have been
Well-
the DA. It could have been the
No.
detective. It could have been
It-
the
it's
prosecutor.
Amber would not have done that.
No,
Could have been
you
one of
don't
her.
know?
Could have been one of her friends that did it.
One of
though.
her friends, because it was taken at her friend's party.
That's correct.
Whatever. But it really was the detective or the state. I'm sorry.
Well,
Give me a
I
break.
suspect it was. I do.
God.
I suspect it. I do, but again, it could have been one of the friends.
Go back
like,
and
you know,
look at his face when he's saying that. Dude,
well,
you're
I
a
know.
bad liar. I'm sorry. I know those people. Not him.
I
but
agree with you, Kay.
I know people
Totally.
like him. If he hadn't tried to put his thumb on other things to not have to deal with appeals, then I wouldn't say that. But
Well, again, that's why I
he
said earlier. Just don't alter your freaking report, man. That makes you look like
exactly.
It makes you look like you're, as you said, put the thumb on the scale, and
Yeah,
that's a
don't
no-no.
do that. Don't bring in a confidential informant, a jail informant. Don't solve the burglary in 5 seconds. Uh, yeah, don't take something out of your report, and don't release pictures to the press and then act like you don't know how that happened.
Yeah, duh. I'm not sure how that went on. Yeah, right. Okay, sure.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if that
No,
was
no.
the only thing, it would be different, but it's
His,
not.
moving on. Just, I mean, there's so much we could cover, but when he's caught, that's another really big aspect that there are photos on this website. I'm sure probably all of us there. I haven't looked through all of them, but what all was found in the car? I'm sorry.
Well, I'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm going to play golf with my brother at one of the most exclusive places, period. I've
Yeah,
got his
Toy
ID,
Vines.
so that's right. It's a very exclusive club.
I looked it up, and we can afford to play there. It's not as expensive as I had thought, but still not cheap. A couple $100 a round or whatever. But
But
I
I'm
thought it
pretty
would be
sure
more exclusive than that.
I
Well, I
thought you had to
mean,
be. I thought you had to
he
be a
did
member.
go there. That's where
Yeah,
they
with his,
arrested him, was
Yeah.
in the
with,
parking lot of that
with his
place.
brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you had to be a member. You had to buy a
No,
membership.
you can.
Oh.
They have it's open to the public. I thought so too.
Oh.
I was wrong. I looked it
Oh.
up.
Did he go
Found it.
there and just say
Yeah.
goodbye to his family? Right
Well-
before he headed south?
Was it his last round of golf with the family? I don't know.
Well, found.
Well, here's the other thing. They're saying he's going to flee to Mexico, but he has his brother's driver's license. You can't get
Yep.
across the border with a driver's license.
In
I didn't hear
2002,
any.
I think you could.
Oh, could
Yes.
you? Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you could. I think you
You
only
could.
need to pass.
I did it
or-
many times.
Yeah.
But he had a full wardrobe in the car.
Yeah,
with
he had
4 or 5
formal
cell
clothes.
phones.
$10,000,
Normal,
four or five
casual.
cell phones.
Here we go. Here's the car.
There we go. Yeah,
Was
it's
it
his
$5,000 or $10,000?
15.
10,000. No, well, there's
one
a
documentary
discrepancy here.
says 10,000. The other documentary says 15,000.
That's right.
Stuart says, "Did it cost 15,000 to play around?"
And it wasn't his car. It wasn't his car.
Oh, it wasn't?
He
No.
sold it. He explained the money the cash he had by saying that he sold his truck to his brother.
Right.
Well,
But whose car
yeah.
was it?
But when did he do that? Because
Right?
well,
And his
Right.
sister said, well, he still had the money in the car. We mean still had it. Like,
Well,
how
supposedly
long?
for the sale from the sale of another car.
how long do you leave that much cash in your car?
well, it doesn't
Right.
even make sense because, I mean,
Why would they pay cash also?
that too.
All those cell phones are very sus.
It
Very
is to me.
sus.
Well,
different
Yeah.
phone, different girlfriend.
Wow.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
One's
Probably.
probably a work phone.
Did that drive you guys as nuts as it did me when he said the girl I'm married to?
Yes.
Oh my
The-
god.
Yeah.
Not my wife. You don't say my
Right.
wife. The girl I'm married to.
Yeah, that
I
was
lost
pretty.
the girl I married. Oh no, the girl I married to went missing.
That was pretty cold.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Looks
No,
like
we
an
understand,
extra pair
sir.
of license plates there.
Yep. Another
Oh.
pair of set of license plates,
Mm.
jumper cables,
Interesting.
Viagra. You need your Viagra when you go
He
play
had
golf.
Viagra. I like how they point that out. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
He
Sounds
was
like a
impotent and he was looking to get laid.
stiff situation coming up here.
Couple cigars.
Yep. I don't know. It looks really bad. And he had changed his hair and goatee. He dyed it.
To look like the ID. That's another thing they pointed out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When he dyed his hair and had the goatee, he resembled his brother's ID.
Correct.
Yep.
And there's just no getting around that. So
His
if you
family
take
just laughed all that off, you know.
So the
Right. If
car, the Mercedes was Jacqueline Peterson, which must be his sister-in-law or something.
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah. So that's who owned that vehicle.
Yeah.
How many
This is such a great
siblings does he
website, Jack.
have? Does anybody know how many siblings he has?
A brother and
I
a
don't.
sister, I think.
I think that's
Okay.
right.
So it could be his sisters.
Let's see.
I can't remember,
So
but it
they're
seemed to me like
married.
that Jacqueline Peterson is the one that became the lawyer. I
Oh,
could be wrong. I don't remember exactly, Susan. I just don't. One
Oh,
of the
that's
two.
not going to be hard to find.
yeah.
Scott's sister, Susan, and then Scott's older brother, I don't know what his name was. Scott's older brother and his wife, Janie. So Janie's the attorney.
Lawyer one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he must have had a younger brother as well.
I think no, he was the baby. He was the youngest.
What name
Wow.
did you throw out there, Susan?
Jacqueline.
What was it?
Jacqueline
The
Peterson.
car,
She-
the Mercedes was.
She must be a sister-in-law of the other brother.
Oh, was
Must
that
be-
the mom? Was that? I think
Oh,
Jackie
could be.
is his
Oh,
mother.
Could be. Could
Yeah.
be.
Oh, it was his mom's
Yeah, yeah.
car. Wow.
His
Yeah.
parents
Here's a receipt
lived in
from-
San Diego too.
Yeah.
Here's a receipt from REI with all of his camping gear that he purchased.
Oh, that's right. He had a bunch of camping gear also.
And a cook stove he had.
Yeah.
When did he
370
purchase that?
30
What's the
375
date?
bucks worth.
Oh, June 24th.
Oh, here's a picture you'll like. This one is a picture of a fence with concrete mix and the driveway.
Wow. Okay.
Well, there was
Concrete
a concrete
mix.
anchor there in his boat.
So it doesn't look like they had a garage, actually. They just had this like
Carport
Yeah.
Like-
area.
covered carport area.
I thought they had a garage. Why was I thinking that?
Because it kind of looks like it. Maybe you're thinking of the Chris Watts one where he backed the truck up.
That's probably exactly where I got it confused.
There's a pool
Probably,
back there, right? I think there's
Yes,
a pool
they
in
have
the
a pool.
backyard.
They have
Yeah.
a pool.
Maybe
Yeah,
he could
yeah.
have still backed up and backed around to the back side of the house,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
He
where
could
the
have done it in the
umbrellas
middle
are.
of the night, too. I mean, when's the last time anybody ever talked to Laci?
It was him that morning.
8:30 p.m. She spoke to her mom on the phone the night before.
Yeah, the night before.
The night
Yeah.
before.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it could have happened, anytime after that.
That's right.
He
Man,
could have
this
transferred her
website
in the middle of the night.
Has
When was
everything.
the Christmas party that she went to? That at the same time he was going to a Christmas party with Amber Fry.
Amber,
What
I'm
day
not
was
sure
that?
what date that was.
Wasn't that the
girlfriend.
ninth? Was that the 9th or something around that time frame?
Well, he bought the boat on the 9th.
Yeah.
And he told her he was forced to tell Amber that he was married on the 9th. Yeah, the fishing license was purchased on the 20th. I can't remember when he checked the bay tides.
Oh yeah, when you check the tides.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because you need to check the tides when you get the boat out.
That's
Sure.
right.
Yeah. You might be running up a foul in your
He
little
looks
dinghy.
so happy here. Oh my god.
Yeah, he does.
Well, sure.
While his whale of
got
a
the little-
wife is at home laying on the couch,
She's
probably
got
not
the
feeling
little.
like having sex.
He looks wasted in that picture with Amber.
Look at this. He's got his shirt unbuttoned.
Ew.
He's making out with her at the party.
Yep.
He looks so happy. Oh my God.
Yep. That's more emotion than we saw throughout everything.
Yeah.
Seriously,
You're right.
it is.
Including duplicates.
Another smile.
This is the same party, that Christmas party. Here he is on the phone, probably talking to Laci.
Yep.
He's wearing a corsage at a Christmas party. That looks like a wedding to me.
It does look like that, but
She has the red dress on. It's the Christmas party.
it's the Christmas
Yeah,
party.
that's the Christmas party. Yeah.
That's what the document says too. Here he is putting on
Never
the tie,
seen
looking
anyone wear
happier.
a corsage.
He looks happier than I think I've ever been. Looks like a golden retriever happy here.
Yeah, wagging the tail.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna
No.
guess these are wedding photos.
No, it says Christmas party.
It says Christmas party on the.
That's
Where-
that's the
court document.
These are the photos that got leaked from the Christmas
these are
party.
the court. These are the court documents here.
I mean,
Christmas
that's
party.
what they were wearing in the Christmas
I'll
party
be damned.
photos that got leaked. So
Does look like a
Okay.
wedding though, doesn't it? Because you got the
It does.
corsage
Yeah.
and the
Fancy Christmas party, Susan. Special.
I've never seen anybody wear a corsage to anything other than a wedding or a prom, or
Prom, same
you
thing
know?
here. Right, I agree with you. Maybe it's just different on the West Coast when you're, got cash, whatever. I don't know.
he sold the Land Rover. He sold the. Let's see what date he sold the.
He sold her car. That was
he
another
sold her
thing.
car. That's weird. Before she was even her body was found.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then
Yep.
And then he's trying to sell the house because if she comes back, we're never gonna live in this house again. Why?
Why not?
And Jack, you
Why
made
not?
such a good point. Why? Did something bad happen there?
Right. You trying to get out of a bad memory in that place there, Scott?
Stuart is saying he sold it only a few weeks after she went missing.
Here it
Yeah,
says
that's
Way
January
before she
29th.
was found.
January
Wow.
29th is
Oh wait, that's the
Damn.
Dakota. That's a Dodge Dakota. That's his truck.
Land Rover.
that's his truck.
He's saying Land Rover.
So let's
Yeah,
see
you'll
where
go
we
back
can find the
to-
Land Rover. There's another document here, so maybe. That's not the Land Rover? Huh. Well, there's so many documents here. I mean, it's
Well, I said it would take hours and hours to go through these.
oh, here we go. Here's the one that I was trying to now that says 2002 Dodge Dakota sold. He sold his truck. So he sold her car and his truck. Dodge Dakota. Oh, here's the Land Rover, 96 Land Rover.
sold 129 2003, so a month after.
Looks like he sold both of them at the same time.
I don't know. You look at the date on the other one.
So sold 129.23 Dodge Dakota.
Wow.
Dodge Dakota.
Wow, that
Oh, he-
doesn't jive with what. So there's another lie that he was the money came from. Oh man, his sister-in-law attorney is creating things. I mean, she's
Well,
the one who said that that's why he had the money was because
Yeah, so he's carrying it around for 2.5 months in the mom's car. What?
does it say who he sold them to?
I don't think it probably not.
I think we need more information on this because I'm not quite sure. It just keeps saying there's only that one instance where it says the Land Rover here, make Land Rover, but it just says trade 1 and trade 2. I don't know. I got to do a little digging to see because it says Dodge Dakota sold, but then here this one says Land Rover. It doesn't say Land Rover sold.
Got the agent's name down below. Donald Halliman. Number
Retail.
3 there.
Peter Van Weer. Salesperson Peter Van Weer. And
Yep.
agent name Donald Hallam. Here's the
Insurance
Bank of
agent.
Stockton. All right. 17,500 for the Dakota. He was just living off that cash, I bet.
Yeah. If he sold his truck, how's he going to do his business? Right? How's he going to pull all that fertilizer all over the hell in handbasket?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it looks like he had a loan on it. So maybe he paid off. Maybe he didn't get that full price after paying the loan off. I don't know. I'd have to really dig this in. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd probably pay that off, but if he still had $10,000-15,000 out of that, that's pretty good. Of course, in California, that's not going to go real far, but if you're careful, right?
Yeah, because he was real careful.
Right, good point. That's fair.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a picture of her. Let's see here, of her bra.
Wow. I'm surprised. Oh, wow. They found it on her. Wow.
Not that that helps us with anything, but there's just.
Yeah, there's pretty much every picture, I guess,
Here's the duct tape.
except for the autopsy pictures. Those are sealed, but that website has thousands of pictures. I
It's
scroll
got
through it. You'll go insane just looking through them because it just goes on and on.
That's a good point, Stuart. Saying girl I'm married to could be a sign of cognitive distancing from Laci. Exactly.
Oh, I agree.
It's such a weird statement, man.
It's such a
It
weird
really is,
thing.
dude. Yeah.
But in the other documentary, he says something similar. He refers to Amber as Fry. And when he's trying to explain that, maybe Fry thought it was more than it was or whatever, trying to say that he never led her to believe that there was any future in this. It was just sex, which that doesn't jive with all of his letters,
Absolutely. Stuart's got a couple of really good comments here. It was her work Christmas party. Okay.
Right.
And using the nursery room as a storage room shows a certain coldness towards his missing unborn child. And sold both cars, driving a 2-seater, no room for a baby seat. It's a good comment.
I think that showing a picture of that nursery, that's a great point. I'm glad because I forgot about that. And it was basically used as a storage shed. What?
Right.
Well, what if they found Laci? She'd been held somewhere and she's coming back home, and she's had the baby. What? How you gonna explain that, Scott? I gotta clean out the nursery. I got all my shit piled in there.
Yeah,
and buy a bigger car.
He knew that wasn't happening.
Well, yeah. To me, it's exactly what he knew, but.
The other part that got me so going was when he told Amber that he never cheated on her.
That was weird.
And her reaction, the like, I thought that was just priceless.
Yeah, the way that she recalled it,
say that?
She said he had told her that he was monogamous as far as he was concerned, or something like that. Oh, wow. As far as you're concerned, but what about?
I mean, was in his mind, was that because he wasn't having sex with Laci at the time?
Right.
All right, Sheila
knows what's in his mind.
As far as I'm concerned.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Except there's
also a bunch of
girl attached to that other cell phone, so.
They recorded like 29 hours of phone conversations of him. I think those
with Laci. I mean, with Amber,
with Scott and Amber, and I think Scott and other people too. I think those are all in here.
They also have a bunch of pictures from sentencing. So like pictures of her on her first day of work and pictures with her family. This website's got literally everything.
Yeah. There's recordings and transcripts of calls between Amber Scott, and it just goes on and on. Then transcripts and recordings between Amber Scott, another, and then there's another. It's just crazy how much they recorded.
Is she a Latina?
I don't know. Maybe.
She kind of looks like she's got a little bit of Latino descent in her, but I'm not sure.
The whole family does.
Yeah, I'm not sure. To me, she was just a gorgeous woman.
Yeah,
She was.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And then this is this video that I have up here. I don't know if I'll play it because it might get flagged, but this was the defense exhibit trying to show how difficult it would be to dump a body over the side and how you're likely to tip over. Tip the boat over. And
I remember this during the trial.
Yeah, this is part that I kind of understand it. Like I kind of agree with that. And I've always thought, man, it would be really hard to dump a body over the side. That doesn't mean he didn't kill her. You know, that's why I think he used that Brooks Island as a staging area.
So do I.
And I don't know. The other part, well, there's no evidence that he dismembered her. I don't see any of that, but
no, I think you nailed it when we were talking before that he used Brooks Island as a staging, got her off the boat tied, drug her out, took her out, and untied her from the boat.
It'd be a good time to do it because everyone's at home on Christmas Eve. You know, no one's out on the water and it's cold.
That's premeditation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think he killed her at home, took her there, however means he did it. He had privacy, or at least some measure of privacy if he was careful. The boat's inside his shop. There's just all kinds of, that's what I think too. Can't prove that, of course. It's conjecture.
That's a good thought that Stewart had. Dump her off the front of the boat, and it's not as likely to tip.
Possible.
I would think that would be the case. Yeah.
But dead weight of 8-month pregnant. I mean, I know she was only 5'1", but 4
plus
anchors.
The concrete weights.
Too?
Yeah.
We're thinking, we're thinking 25 pounds for each anchor. That's 100. And she probably, I'm guessing 150 pounds, something like that.
Well, I don't know. If you threw the 2 anchors off the front, it would help pull her. I don't know.
Maybe.
Still, you've got 2 anchors on the back.
I guess ultimately my point is it's really risky. You could flip over. You could die because if you flip over and no one finds you, you're going to die of hypothermia.
If you don't get out of that water pretty quickly, you're screwed. Yeah.
So that's where I'm going. That's why I think Brooks Island is such an important staging ground for whatever he did. He figured it out there. I mean, it sounds horrible, but if he got her unloaded on that Brooks Island and tied her up to the boat and then drug her a ways, I could maybe see that, even though it's also pretty risky.
Maybe that's the reason he mentioned that to the cops, in case somebody saw him at Brooks Island.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. What a wild case and documentary.
Very.
And their house had sold in 2022. Sold a couple times, I think that they were saying. Yeah, there's the pool in the back. A lot of information about this one. Just heartbreaking story. But yeah, I think we're all in pretty much agreement here is that even if we think that he's guilty, he should still be allowed to test that DNA.
Absolutely.
I agree. Test
Anyone.
it. Closure.
Yeah.
I'd like some closure. I would like it to, if it's.
Zellner should be able to test whatever the hell she wants to test.
I agree. If you're going to pay
Absolutely.
for it, yeah.
But she's going to pay for it, for God's sake.
Right. So I think that that's a flaw in the justice system. But who am I? I'm not a lawyer, so what can I do?
I agree.
Well, you guys got anything else to add to this one for this week, or
We could
maybe
talk.
we'll do some more.
We could talk for a week about this one.
We really
Seriously.
could. This
Maybe
one
we
is
we revisit.
it's a rabbit hole.
Oh my God, it's a huge rabbit hole.
I could slide down this thing so easily.
Oh, yep. You get off into this and just stay there for months.
Especially with all those documents and pictures that on that website.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess we can always add more in a couple weeks when we talk about the Peacock documentary Face to Face with Scott Peterson.
Yeah.
That one's on Peacock. Might not be as easy for everybody to see. I think you can check it out on one of the bootleg sites, S-Flix or something like that. But we will be covering that one. So for people that don't have Peacock and aren't able to see it, come check it out in 2 weeks on September 9th. Next week, we are going to be talking about the documentary about Steve McNair, the murder of Steve McNair. That one is out on Netflix right now. And I think it's just a one-off episode. Let me see. McNair. It's a single episode. Oh gosh, I didn't want to do that. It's a single documentary episode, the untold murder of Air McNair is what it's called. So we're going to talk about that one next week. But we're not going to have a live. So for people that love to do the lives, if we'll talk about the Air McNair one on the 9th. I have something to do next week, so I won't be able to do the live. I'll be able to be in chat during the premiere. And then Stuart says, wow, watched the Air McNair one yesterday. Good case to pick. I'll join in on that one too. Awesome, Stuart. Great. We'll have you. Great to see you. So we'll do the premiere and I'll be in chat, but we won't have a live. So maybe we can talk about the Steve McNair documentary on the 9th when we discuss the other documentary that came out about Scott and Laci Peterson, which is called Face to Face. Scott Peterson.
Yeah, but the McNair one's only 48 minutes long, so I think we could probably easily cover that one at the same time. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll touch on that one, but I think the focus in 2 weeks will be on the Peacock documentary for sure.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions to
McNair at all.
Say again?
I'm not familiar with McNair at all.
Steve McNair was a really standout quarterback, and he got drafted by the Houston Oilers back in the 90s, and because they were looking for some new blood because the Oilers were struggling so bad.
Was it the Titans, Tennessee Titans?
Well, it became the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, I gotcha.
So he gets drafted, and then all of a sudden, the owner of the Oilers, he had to sell it. He just, because the stadium's falling apart, said he didn't have the money to fix it, blah, blah, blah. So it ends up getting sold, and then it becomes the Tennessee Titans.
Was he murdered? Was he still playing?
It was after he retired. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he was murdered, and we don't want to give you a spoiler about what happened because we'll cover it in the documentary. But
yeah, I'll watch it.
Pretty tragic to see that, and he was really popular. I mean,
really beloved.
They were a new team there in Tennessee, and having him as such a really just a outstanding quarterback, really, really well known. And
They went
God,
undefeated. They went undefeated their first season at Tennessee, and it really
Wow.
charged the base, the people in Nashville. They were just, oh my God, so fired
and
up.
if you
I
guys
remember it.
remember, that was the Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl and they lost the Super Bowl. They were 1 yard short of a touchdown
inches.
that they would have
Oh my
won.
gosh.
Yeah, 1 yard.
1
They
yard.
even mentioned that in the movie Castaway, and you know, Tom Hanks is coming back from being put on the island for how many 6 years, and she says to him, she's like, yeah, and then they won. They almost won the Super Bowl. They 1 yard, she says in the movie. So it was a big
wasn't
deal
like
when it happened.
It wasn't like they lost. They almost won.
They
were
almost
so
won.
fired up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with 6 seconds left. So yeah, that's Steve McNair. We'll talk about that one next week. And I hope
I
you guys
lived in
join us for
Mexico
that.
that entire decade, so I missed a lot.
Oh, well, it happens.
90s. I can't do 90s trivia very well.
All right. Last comments on this one, Katie?
Oh, I think stick a fork in it. We're
He's
done.
done. He's done.
Yeah,
You
he's
think that,
done.
okay, well, let me ask you this. What is the percentage chance you think that this DNA actually, or that one item that they have to test, results in anything?
I'll be shocked.
I'd be shocked.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
be shocked.
completely.
But I mean, I think he should be able to test everything.
I agree.
Our legal system is just so screwed up.
Susan?
Yeah, I would love if the testing came back to Scott.
That'd be
But
interesting,
yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah,
That
I
would
do
be
agree.
that
That
would
would
be
be-
something if the DNA comes back to Scott.
It would be awesome.
Stuart says Scott Peterson may have become your neighbor in Mexico.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said he would have been found down there.
And Stuart says I don't think
Quickly.
it will clear that the DNA. I don't think it's going to clear Scott Peterson. And Jack, you get the last wraps on this one.
I'm gonna go with K. Stick a fork in it. I don't think they're gonna find anything. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Well, appreciate everybody coming along for the ride. I thought this one was really interesting. One of my more favorite documentaries, and I think just because of how worked up it got me, how emotionally invested I became in this one. And I think that's the case with most people, that there was just this, how could you do this to an 8.5-month pregnant wife? And not even that, just the lies and the lies and the lies and the half truths and the just not being open, and very tragic. So thanks for coming along for this one. We'll see you guys on the other side next week. Thank you so much. I'm Jeff, and this has been Documentary Club. We'll see you guys on the next one.